Ryan's Office Revenge.
Jessica Martinez stood at the head of that mahogany conference table, smoothing down her blazer that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. She looked at me with this tight smile, the kind you give someone right before you deliver bad news. She honestly thought firing me in front of the entire executive team was some kind of power move. What she didn't know was that I'd been keeping her world from falling apart for the past year, and I was about to let it crash down. My name is Brandon Mitchell. I'm 48 years old, and I've been in tech for over 20 years. I should have seen this coming, but sometimes experience makes you blind to the obvious. The conference room had this annoying rattle from the air conditioning system. Sounded like my old Chevy when the transmission was going out. There were 19 people crammed into that glass fishbowl with us, all watching Jessica drop her bomb. Most of them were half my age, hired fresh out of college with their computer science degrees and zero real-world experience. "Sorry, Brandon," she said, tilting her head like she was talking to a confused child. "Didn't see you standing there. We were just discussing some organizational changes." Organizational changes. Corporate speak for we're replacing the expensive old guy with cheap, young talent. I was holding my coffee mug, the same beat-up steel one I'd brought from home every day for 5 years. The coffee had gone cold hours ago, but I kept gripping it anyway. 5 years of getting there before sunrise while the millennials rolled in at 9:30 with their artisanal lattes. 5 years of untangling code that looked like it was written by caffeinated monkeys. 5 years of making Jessica look like a tech visionary when she couldn't figure out how to update her iPhone without calling IT in a panic. But here's the thing about being 48 in tech. You're not just competing against younger, cheaper workers. You're fighting against the assumption that you can't adapt, that you're some dinosaur who still thinks the cloud is something in the sky. Never mind that I'd been doing distributed computing since before these kids knew what a computer was. "I need to make a call," I said. My voice came out steady, which surprised me. I expected it to crack or something. Jessica's expression changed. The fake sympathy didn't leave her face, but it got harder somehow. She wanted to see me beg. She wanted me to scramble for an explanation, or break down so she could play the understanding boss in front of everyone. Classic power play from someone who'd never had to earn respect the hard way. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I'd memorized 3 weeks ago. A number that had been burned into my brain during those sleepless nights when I was doing the math, figuring out if I could afford to help someone who clearly saw me as expendable. The room went dead quiet. I could hear Ryan Walsh breathing through his mouth next to me. Kid spent more time waxing his beard than debugging his code, but he was 26 and spoke fluent JavaScript, so Jessica treated him like the next Steve Jobs. "Yes," I said when someone answered on the other end. I looked straight at Jessica. "I'd like to cancel my sponsorship." Jessica's face went white. Not gradually, like watching paint dry. It was instant, like someone had pulled a plug and all the blood just drained out. She knew that voice on the other end. She knew exactly who I was talking to, and for the first time in 5 years, she looked absolutely terrified. But let me back up and explain how we got here. You need to understand the whole picture before you can appreciate what happened next. I'm a systems architect. I fix broken things for a living. It's not just what I do, it's who I am. Always has been, since I was a kid taking apart radios to see how they worked. If there's a problem, I solve it. If something's not working right, I make it work. That's how Jessica caught me in her web, and that's how the tech industry has always worked. They need us old guys to actually build the infrastructure while the young ones get the glory. Jessica wasn't brilliant. Let's be clear about that. She was loud and charismatic in that artificial way some CEOs have, especially the ones who got promoted too fast because they knew the right buzzwords. She hired me 5 years ago to modernize their infrastructure, which was corporate speak for do everything while I take long lunches and network with other executives who don't understand technology either. I didn't mind at first. I love the work. Computers don't have egos. Code doesn't discriminate based on your age or how many gray hairs you have. If a program crashes, it's because you missed a semicolon, not because it decided you were too old to understand modern programming languages. But Jessica was a disaster, professionally and personally. Her life was a series of fires that she expected other people to put out. For the past year, I'd been her favorite firefighter, the reliable old guy who could make miracles happen when the young hotshots hit walls they didn't even know existed. "Brandon, I don't know what I'd do without you," she used to say, usually while dumping a stack of reports on my desk that she was supposed to finish a week ago. She'd lean against my workstation, smelling like expensive perfume and stress. "You're my brain. You're my right hand." I believed her. That's the embarrassing part. At 48, after 2 decades in this industry, after watching countless companies push out experienced workers for cost savings, I still thought loyalty mattered. I thought if you worked hard enough, if you made yourself indispensable enough, they'd recognize your value. The company culture revolved around Jessica's chaos. We were a mid-sized logistics firm, small enough to be nimble but big enough to be completely dysfunctional. There was Ryan, who I'm pretty sure was only employed because his uncle played golf with someone important. There was Nicole at reception, who saw everything but said nothing, probably because she was 52 and knew better than anyone how precarious job security was at our age. And there was me, holding the whole thing together with duct tape, determination, and 2 decades of experience that nobody wanted to pay for anymore. The tech industry has a funny relationship with experience. They want the results that come from years of trial and error, but they don't want to pay for the person who earned that knowledge the hard way. They'd rather hire 3 junior developers for the price of 1 senior architect than act surprised when the whole system falls apart because nobody knows how the legacy code actually works. That's where guys like me come in. We're the janitors of the digital age, cleaning up messes created by people who think programming is just about knowing the latest framework. Then I met Tyler. He was Jessica's 12-year-old son, and meeting him changed everything. It was a Tuesday when the schools were closed for some teacher planning day. Jessica's usual childcare had fallen through, so she dragged him into the office like he was an inconvenient piece of luggage. In the tech world, we're used to accommodating the personal lives of young executives who haven't figured out work-life balance yet. But this was different. Tyler was tall for his age, but moved like he wasn't sure where his arms and legs were supposed to go. He was wearing these massive noise-canceling headphones, the industrial kind construction workers use, the kind I used to wear when I worked night shifts at the data center 15 years ago. "Just sit there and be quiet," Jessica told him, pointing to a corner of her glass office where a dying plant was slowly giving up. "Mommy has meetings." But Tyler couldn't sit still. He stood by that plant and started rocking back and forth, humming this low, constant sound. It wasn't a song, just this vibration that seemed to come from his chest. I recognized that sound. My nephew had done the same thing before we got him help. I watched my coworkers react. The office was open plan so everyone could see into Jessica's office. I saw the eye rolls from the 20-somethings. I heard the whispers about bringing your problems to work. Ryan actually started mimicking the rocking motion to make Anthony laugh, like Tyler's struggle was some kind of entertainment. That made my stomach turn. Here was this kid, obviously dealing with something way bigger than office politics, and these supposed professionals were making fun of him. Tyler wasn't looking at anyone. He was staring at the carpet pattern, completely lost in his own world. His hands were flapping slightly at his sides, and he looked terrified. At my age, you've seen enough to recognize pain when you see it. When you're 48, you've probably raised kids or watched friends struggle with parenting challenges that test everything you think you know about fairness and luck. This wasn't just a kid having a bad day. This was something deeper. At lunch, when everyone else went to the sandwich place down the street to complain about their student loans, I stayed behind with my sad desk salad. Jessica came out of her office looking exhausted. The polished CEO act was cracking, and underneath was just a tired mother who was in over her head. "Is he bothering anyone?" she asked, ready for a fight. She was defensive, like she'd had this conversation before. "No," I said, putting down my fork. "He's fine." She deflated like someone had let the air out of her. "He's having a rough week." The school called 3 times yesterday, another suspension. She sat on the edge of my desk, which was completely unprofessional, but Jessica didn't care about boundaries unless they applied to other people. That's when it all came pouring out, the assessments, the diagnosis she wouldn't say out loud. She called it his challenges or sensory issues, like using clinical terms would make it too real. I'd heard this before. My sister went through the same dance with my nephew 5 years ago. "They say he needs specialized therapy," she said, picking at her expensive manicure. "Behavioral integration, social mapping, neurofeedback. All these programs that cost a fortune and take forever." She looked at me with tears in her eyes. Real ones, not the fake boardroom tears she used on vendors. "Insurance won't cover it. They say it's educational, so the school should pay. School says it's medical, so insurance should pay. It's like they designed the system to make sure no one gets help. She looked back at Tyler through the glass. He had stopped rocking and was now crouched on the floor, tracing patterns with his finger, complex, spiraling shapes that seemed to make sense only to him. He's drowning, Brandon. He can do calculus in his head that I can't do with a calculator. He knows every train schedule in the city by memory. But he can't order food without having a panic attack. He can't look people in the eyes. Her voice cracked. If he doesn't get help now, while his brain is still developing, I don't know what happens when he turns 18. I don't know if he'll be able to live independently, hold a job, have relationships. I'm failing him. For the first time since I'd known Jessica, she wasn't performing. She wasn't managing her image or working an angle. She was just a scared mother watching her brilliant, complicated child struggle in a world that wasn't built for kids like him. "Who's the best?" I asked. "The best doctor?" "Dr. Zachary Harrison," she said immediately. "He runs this place called Pinnacle Therapeutic Center. He's supposed to be incredible, revolutionary approach to autism spectrum therapy. But he doesn't take insurance, and his waiting list has been closed for 2 years." That night I went home to my empty apartment. The divorce had been finalized 8 months ago, and couldn't turn my brain off. I sat on my couch with my laptop and researched Dr. Harrison and his center. The guy wasn't just good, he was a legend. His papers were cited in every major medical journal. His success stories were incredible. Kids who went from nonverbal to giving graduation speeches. Kids like Tyler who learned to navigate the world instead of just surviving in it. His approach was different. Instead of trying to force these kids to act normal, he taught them to work with their brains, not against them. He built on their strengths instead of just trying to fix their weaknesses. I found his pricing page buried in the website's FAQ section. Initial consultation, $2,000. Monthly program, $2,000. Minimum 6-month commitment, payable upfront. Total, $12,000. I pulled up my bank account, $16,000 in savings. Everything I had left after the divorce settlement, after splitting 20 years of accumulated wealth down the middle with my ex-wife. 5 years of brown bag lunches and driving a car held together with hope and prayer. Money I'd saved by skipping vacations, wearing the same suits until they fell apart, buying generic groceries while my younger coworkers ordered DoorDash twice a day. That money was supposed to be my safety net. In tech, at my age, you never know when the next reorganization is coming. Companies love to thin the herd of expensive senior employees during budget cuts, and U.S. older workers take longer to find new positions. Age discrimination is illegal, but good luck proving it when they just say they went with someone who was a better cultural fit. But looking at that number, I thought about Tyler tracing patterns on his knee. I thought about that underwater humming sound, and I thought about Jessica, stripped of all her corporate armor, just a mother who loved her kid and didn't know how to help him. Here's the thing about being in your late 40s. You've been around long enough to understand that life isn't fair, that good people suffer while jerks prosper, that hard work doesn't guarantee success. But you've also learned that sometimes you have the power to fix small pieces of the world, even when the bigger picture is broken beyond repair. If I could solve this problem, really solve it, maybe Jessica would finally see what I brought to the table. Maybe she'd stop looking at me like I was a relic from the punch card era. Maybe she'd realize that experience and wisdom had value, even in a youth-obsessed industry. I made the call that night. Not to Jessica, not to Dr. Harrison directly, but to the intake coordinator at Pinnacle Therapeutic Center. "I want to set up an anonymous sponsorship," I told Ashley, the woman who answered with that crisp, professional voice that screamed expensive health care, "for a boy named Tyler Johnson. Tell his mother he was selected for a pilot program or something. I don't care what story you use, just don't mention my name." "That's quite generous," Ashley said carefully. "But the program requires full payment up front. That's $12,000 for the 6-month intensive program." I stared at my laptop screen, at that number in my savings account. $16,000 looked so solid, so safe. It was the only thing standing between me and the paycheck-to-paycheck existence I'd worked 20 years to escape. In tech, especially at my age, you always keep an emergency fund because you never know when some 28-year-old MBA is going to decide you're too expensive. "I'm ready," I said, and read her my account numbers. When I hung up, I had $4,000 left in this weird combination of nausea and euphoria. I'd just bought a kid's future with money I couldn't afford to lose, but I'd also solved an impossible problem, which is what I do for a living. 2 days later, Jessica came flying out of her office like her hair was on fire. "Brandon!" she screamed across the open office. "You won't believe what just happened!" I took off my headphones, pretending to be confused. "What's wrong? Did the server crash?" "No, no, no!" She was crying actual tears of joy, not caring that the entire office was staring. "Tyler got accepted into Dr. Harrison's program. They called this morning. They said he was selected for some kind of research grant for gifted children with sensory processing challenges. It's fully funded, Brandon. $12,000, paid in full." "That's amazing," I said, putting just the right amount of surprise in my voice. "He must be really special." "He is," she said, grabbing my hands with both of hers. "He is special, and someone finally sees it." For the next 4 months, life was good. Better than good, actually. Jessica became a completely different person. The constant edge was gone. She stopped micromanaging every detail. She actually started trusting me to do my job without second-guessing every decision. "I have to pick up Tyler from therapy," she'd say with this genuine smile I'd never seen before. "Dr. Harrison says consistency is everything for kids on the spectrum." Every morning, I got updates I didn't ask for, but secretly treasured. Tyler was sleeping through the night for the first time in years. Tyler made a friend at the center, a boy who also loved trains. Tyler looked his mother in the eye and said, "I love you, Mom," without being prompted or coached. She was glowing with happiness, and because she was happy, she was generous. The office became a decent place to work. She gave me proper credit for the logistics optimization project I'd built. She even suggested promoting me to director level. But here's the thing about people like Jessica. When they're drowning, they'll grab onto anything to stay afloat. But once they're safe on dry land, they start looking around for someone to blame for getting wet in the first place. The shift was subtle at first. Jessica started coming in late again. But now it was because she was building strategic partnerships at expensive lunches. She'd disappear for hours to attend conferences about digital transformation and agile leadership, buzzword festivals where executives go to feel important. Then Kyle Stevens showed up. Jessica walked in one Monday morning with this guy trailing behind her like an eager puppy. He was maybe 26, wearing a suit that cost more than my car payment and shoes that clicked too loudly on the industrial carpeting. "Team," Jessica announced, clapping her hands for attention. "I want you to meet Kyle. Kyle is joining us as Director of Strategic Innovation." Director. I was Senior Systems Architect. This kid was coming in above me despite having zero experience with our systems, our clients, or frankly, the real world. "Kyle comes from fintech," Jessica continued, her voice dripping with admiration. "Cryptocurrency startups, real disruptive thinking. He's going to help us pivot our technology stack toward next-generation solutions." I watched Kyle survey the office like a general reviewing troops. His gaze lingered on my setup, the dual monitors I'd specifically requested, the ergonomic keyboard that helped with the arthritis in my wrists, the reference books that marked me as someone from the pre-Google era. "So where's the good coffee around here?" he asked, loud enough for everyone to hear. "This machine stuff is pretty basic. And what's our policy on remote work?" I'm not really a 9-to-5 office guy. That should have been my first real warning. In my 20 years in tech, I'd learned that anyone who starts their first day complaining about the coffee is going to be a problem. The next 3 days were pure torture. Shadowing apparently meant Kyle sitting in my guest chair watching TikToks while I tried to explain the database architecture I'd spent 5 years building. "So this handles all our inventory management," I said, pointing to the complex diagram on my screen. "It's critical that we don't run heavy queries during business hours or the whole checkout system lags and customers can't place orders." "Uh-huh," Kyle said, not looking up from his phone. "Hey, do you think Bitcoin's gonna bounce back? I'm down like $6,000. My advisor says crypto winter is almost over." "Kyle," I said, my patience wearing thin, "this is important. If you don't understand how this works and you accidentally delete the wrong table, there's no undo button. The warehouse stops shipping, customers stop buying, and we all stop getting paid." He sighed dramatically and put his phone down like I was asking him to perform surgery. "Look, Brandon, Jessica warned me you might be territorial about information. She said old school guys sometimes hoard knowledge to make themselves feel valuable." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. "She said that?" "Yeah, man. She said Brandon's great at maintaining legacy systems, but he lacks vision for where technology is heading." So let's just skip the deep dive and give me the admin passwords. I learn better by doing anyway. Old school. Legacy systems. Lacks vision. This woman whose son's therapy I was secretly funding had just reduced 20 years of experience to outdated baggage. To Jessica, I wasn't a senior architect with irreplaceable institutional knowledge. I was a relic from the dial-up era, too stubborn or too stupid to embrace the future. That night, I tried to copy my project files to a USB drive as backup. Access denied. I checked my user permissions. Someone had downgraded my account from administrator to standard user. They'd locked me out of systems I'd built while planning to escort me out the door. The corporate machinery was already in motion. Jessica had decided I was expendable, and she was methodically eliminating any evidence that the company needed me. In 3 weeks, Kyle would have my passwords, my projects would become his projects, and I'd be another casualty of the tech industry's obsession with youth and cheapness. 3 weeks later came the execution. The calendar invite appeared on my screen like a death warrant. Status update. Transition planning. Attendees: Jessica Martinez, Kyle Stevens, Stephanie Brooks from HR. Location: Conference Room B. I looked around the office. Nicole caught my eye from reception and gave me this tiny, almost imperceptible nod. She tilted her head toward the exit. "Run while you can," her expression said. But I'd been running from corporate politics my whole career, not today. I felt this strange calm wash over me. The uncertainty was finally over. After weeks of wondering when the axe would fall, now there was only clarity. I opened my banking app one last time, $4,000, barely enough to cover 2 months of basic expenses. Then I opened my contacts and found Pinnacle Therapeutic Center. If I was going down, I wasn't going down alone. The conference room was exactly as I'd imagined it. Jessica stood at the head of that polished table like she was conducting an orchestra, except the music was my career ending. Kyle sat in my usual chair, spinning slightly and looking bored. Stephanie from HR kept her eyes glued to her paperwork, probably calculating severance packages and COBRA premiums. The 19 other people crammed around the edges looked like they were watching an execution, which in a way they were. "Brandon," Jessica said as I entered, her voice dripping with false concern, "we were just getting started. Please, sit." I didn't sit. I placed my coffee mug on that table with deliberate precision. As you know, Jessica addressed the room like she was announcing quarterly results. We're moving into a new phase of growth. More agile, more strategic. To achieve this, we need to restructure our leadership to align with current market demands. Current market demands. Corporate speak for cheaper labor. She slid a folder across the table. We've made the difficult decision to eliminate the senior systems architect position. This is a redundancy elimination, not performance-based. I opened the folder. 4 weeks severance. COBRA coverage through the end of next month. A non-compete agreement that would prevent me from working for any competitor for 6 months. Standard corporate assassination package. Your projects will transition to Kyle's team, Jessica continued. We want this to be smooth for everyone. And the Atlas logistics system? I asked. The one that saves the company $200,000 annually? Company property, Kyle said with a smirk. I'll be optimizing it for modern deployment pipelines. Company property. 2 years of my nights and weekends reduced to an asset transfer. I need to make a call, I said. Jessica's expression tightened. Brandon, this isn't a negotiation. If you want to call a lawyer, you can do that on your own time. I pulled out my phone and dialed the number I'd memorized. I put it on speaker. Pinnacle Therapeutic Center, this is Ashley. The room went dead silent. I watched Jessica's face change as recognition hit her. Her hand, which had been twirling a pen, froze completely. Hi, Ashley, I said, my voice carrying clearly in the sudden quiet. This is the anonymous sponsor for Tyler Johnson. I need to cancel the funding immediately. I beg your pardon? Ashley's professional composure cracked. Sir, we're in the middle of a critical phase. Tyler's made incredible progress. Dr. Harrison says stopping now would be devastating. I understand the medical implications, I said, looking directly at Jessica. But I'm currently experiencing unforeseen financial hardship. I'm being laid off. Who is that? Kyle demanded, finally looking up from his phone. What sponsorship? Jessica wasn't looking at him. She was staring at me like I was speaking a foreign language, her brain trying to process information that didn't fit her worldview. Process the cancellation, I told Ashley. Refund the unused portion to my account. The family will need to make alternative arrangements. Sir, please reconsider, Ashley pleaded. Tyler's scheduled for his progress evaluation next week. If we stop the therapy now, Dr. Harrison estimates he'll regress to baseline within 30 days. All the social skills, all the emotional regulation tools he's learned, they'll disappear. I hung up. Why? Jessica whispered, her voice barely audible. Why were you talking to them? You said Tyler had a grant, I said conversationally. Lucky break. Pilot program. Miracle funding. Yes, she breathed. There was no grant, Jessica. There was just me. The room erupted in whispers. I heard Nicole gasp from the back. I paid for it, I continued. $12,000. My entire divorce settlement. Every session where Tyler learned to make eye contact. Every breakthrough where he managed social interaction without melting down. Every night he slept peacefully instead of rocking himself to exhaustion. Jessica stumbled around the table toward me, her corporate composure completely shattered. You can't do this. He needs those sessions. You heard Ashley. He'll lose everything. Should have thought of that before you decided I was a legacy system that needed replacing, I said. I'll fix this, she said desperately, grabbing my arm. I'll cancel the layoff. Kyle can find another position. You can have your job back, your projects, a promotion, whatever you want. Kyle looked like someone had slapped him. What? Jessica, we had a deal. I don't want the job back, I said, gently removing her hand. I already accepted a CTO position at a startup. They offered me 45% more than you pay plus equity. Turns out experience actually has value when you're not trying to impress 25-year-old investors. Brandon, please, Jessica was crying now, all pretense gone. Don't punish Tyler for my mistakes. He's just a child. For a moment, I felt my resolve waver. Tyler was innocent in all this. But then I looked at that pathetic severance offer, thought about months of being treated like an outdated appliance. He deserves better than a mother who values cheap labor over the people who actually keep her company running, I said. I picked up my coffee mug and walked toward the door. The crowd of employees parted like the Red Sea. As I reached the exit, I heard Jessica collapse into a chair, sobbing. But this isn't where the story ends. Because at 48, you learn that revenge feels good for about 5 minutes, then it just feels empty. 3 days later, I got an email from Dr. Harrison. Tyler had come in for his appointment, backpack ready, excited to show his progress. When Jessica's credit cards were declined, Tyler didn't understand. He sat in the waiting room tying and untying his shoes, showing off the motor skills he'd learned, while his mother made frantic phone calls. When they tried to leave, Tyler held onto the doorframe and screamed. Not a tantrum, but pure grief. He was losing the one place that made sense to him. He asked about you, Dr. Harrison wrote. He doesn't know your name, but he calls you the Fixer. He said, tell the Fixer I did my homework. I stared at that email for an hour. I'd won. Jessica was professionally destroyed, personally devastated, financially ruined. It was perfect revenge. But Tyler wasn't Jessica. He was just a kid who'd been given hope, then had it ripped away because adults couldn't figure out how to treat each other with basic human decency. I called Dr. Harrison's direct line. If I restart partial funding, I said, can Tyler continue? Of course, but I'll pay half, $6,000. Jessica has to cover the rest. She needs skin in the game. She needs to understand what it costs. That might be financially impossible for her. Then she sells the BMW, moves to a smaller apartment, cancels the country club membership. She learns to sacrifice something for her son instead of expecting other people to do it for free. 6 months later, I ran into them at the grocery store. Jessica was using coupons, driving a used sedan, but Tyler was calm, helping her bag groceries. When she thought no one was looking, she smiled at him with genuine pride. Sometimes fixing things means breaking them first. And sometimes the best revenge is forcing people to become better than they were. If you've ever been in corporate long enough, you learn that loyalty flows upward, but rarely downward. And the moment you forget that lesson is the moment you become expendable. The real power isn't in being indispensable. It's in knowing when to walk away with your dignity intact,